Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on match day. Lots to get through this morning, lots of news to get through this morning, and also a very interesting insight into the signing of Edinson Cavani. It's nothing to do with the quality of Cavani, it's to do with the quality of the signing, and yet again the inability of Manchester United to make a decent signing, but also an inability to use a signing effectively. Some really interesting things I want to bring in there about Cavani. Well, I'll give you a little bit of a hint straight away. Cavani, in the games he's played for Manchester United, is averaging 1.3 shots per game. Michael Antonio at West Ham is averaging over 2 shots a game. It tells you everything that is wrong with Manchester United. Style of play, patterns of play, everything we've been working on for the last 18 months apparently, they're not good enough. We don't create enough chances. I said this under Martial, and now we've got a striker that everybody gets behind, Cavani. He's getting 1.3 shots per game. It's shit. It's terrible. It's disgusting. How can a striker thrive on 1.3 shots per game? Disgusting. We don't create enough chances. This has got nothing to do with lack of, luck or things not going our way or VAR or anything like that. Our team, from back to front, doesn't create enough chances. That is pitiful for any striker, especially a Manchester United striker of the quality of Cavani, to be supplied with 1.3 shots per game. Basically, you've got one shot, Cavani. You've got one shot a game. It ain't good enough. Absolutely not good enough. But we'll talk about that in a bit more depth in a moment. Let's get into this right-wing target. A few things to talk about this morning. 3 separate transfer stories. I also want to talk about Koundé and Sancho because we watched both of those last night. But let's start off with the right-wing target. So Solskjaer's new right-wing target. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. Some of you might have seen this story. It was, I think it's Bild in Germany via Sport Witness. Manchester United, apparently, according to Bild, very seriously looking at Kingsley Coman from Bayern Munich. Now, this is a player that we were linked with last summer and I think the summer before. And there's no doubting that Manchester United have definitely scouted Coman over the last few years. There's no doubt about that. But he's got 2 years left on his contract. He's still in his mid-20s. Primarily he plays off the left for Bayern, although I think everyone would suggest that he can play off the right, but they've got Gnabry there. And again, it's another player that's sort of been linked to Manchester United, which I would like to bring. I'd like to bring in. People saying he isn't leaving. This is coming from German reports, so I would probably take German reports over some prat in the live comments telling us he's not going to leave. This is coming from Germany and it's coming from Bild, so it's a little bit more credible than Darren Smith in the live comments and his arsey, I've woke up in a bad mood, he's not going to leave nonsense. So I do think it has to be taken with some consideration because of where it's coming from, and it also is around a player that's not 100% settled at Bayern Munich and is coming towards the point where they want him to sign a new contract, because Bayern Munich are not really a club that like to leave contracts running down. Go to Turin, thrash Sociedad, impress Ronnie, sign him next summer, win the league, says Sana. I'd love to bring Ronaldo back to Manchester United because he ain't going to win a Champions League. There you go. So yeah, would I take Kingsley Coman at Manchester United? I still think he'd be a player that costs around £50 million. Thank you to AWW. Thanks for the nice super chat there. It's always nice to get a nice comment in the morning. But yes, look, I personally wouldn't go for Kingsley Coman, even for £50 million. I just don't think it's the right sort of profile player we need. As we know, plays off the left quite a lot. Probably more creative than the wingers we've got at the moment. I think creativity is exactly what we need. We'll be talking about that with Cavani in a minute. But I think, I watched Jadon Sancho last night, and if Jadon Sancho is the priority transfer for Manchester United, which it has been for the last year, you can't fail to watch a player like Sancho and understand why Manchester United wanted him last summer, why you wanted him, why I wanted him, why Solskjaer wanted him, why we should have got him. The 90% club, rest in peace and all that. But we wanted that signing. He wanted to come to us, and the board blew it, as they blow everything. But can I just say as well, Jude Bellingham, 17 years of age. We showed him round Carrington this time last year and we messed that up, and he's now running the midfield for Dortmund in a Champions League away fixture. The incompetence of this board this morning, they won't realise it. They're probably sat there having their coffee thinking they're dog's bollocks. You're useless. Absolutely useless. Embarrassing. The way the things you've done over the last year are an absolute embarrassment. Erling Haaland, He should be at United. Jude Bellingham should be at United, and Jadon Sancho should be at United. And maybe that's speculative to say, or we should have had all three. But to end up with none of them, embarrassing to the nth degree. I mean, these three players are tearing it up in the same team in the Champions League last night, and we didn't get any of them. And we sit here going, yeah, we're making progress. Bullshit. We can't make progress when the board are acting like they're bloody Accrington Stanley. Jokers, absolute jokers. But the Kingsley Coman thing, it just doesn't feel right to me. He's a very good player, and I think he could do a good job at Manchester United, but it's one of those, isn't it? We're so desperate for a centre-back and a CDM that the right wing position... Look, we're playing a match tonight, and I'll guarantee that Juan Mata's going to start ahead of Amad Diallo. And is this not, there's many issues at Manchester United. What annoys me about some of our fans is that they like to put the blame onto one thing. Change the goalkeeper. Get rid of Maguire. Buy a CDM. Sack the manager, get a new coach in, sack the board. And you're actually ticking a lot of things there. Extremes, but you are ticking a lot of issues that some of them don't need to go, but they need work. There's a lot of issues at Manchester United. And I think tonight, if Amad Diallo doesn't start and Juan Mata does start, what's that all about? How can you be building a future when you keep living in the past? Juan Mata, for some reason, has been given the last few games off. I don't know whether he's injured, whether he's had family issues, whatever. We don't know. It's been kept very quiet. But he's going to come back into the team despite being given numerous chances over the last 2.5 years. And ultimately, if I'm being kind, it's been very lacklustre when he's played. Okay, occasionally he's done okay, but most of the time he's just not up to it at that level anymore. So we would start Juan Mata potentially tonight over Amad Diallo, who is the new future signing for Manchester United, who has played in the Champions League. This is the Europa League. This is the Poundland version of the Champions League. You can play Amad Diallo in this league. Play Amad Diallo, let's have a look at the future and excite the fan base instead of bringing back relics whom they may well look, Mata may well play well tonight, and I'm not saying he won't, but how is that future planning? Where is Mata is running out of time. Give Amad Diallo game time, and that feeds into Kingsley Coman and Jadon Sancho for me, because if we don't give Diallo time between now and the summer, we could end up wasting 50 to 80 million on a new right winger that we don't even need when we do need a centre-back and a CDM. So I'm interested that this story's come out of Bild in Germany, but, to be honest with you, at the moment, right wingers, for me, they're not really a priority. I suspect they still may be for the club. And look, I watched Jadon Sancho last night, and I watched Jules Koundé in the same game, Dortmund versus Sevilla. Let me just do these super chats and I'll come back to that. First rule of the Banter Club, we must meet at 5 to 6 every Thursday. Hooray, says Daniel. I can't believe we're kicking off at 5 to 6 today. You failed when you're kicking off at 5 to 6 on a Thursday. Hi Mark, would you rather get knocked out this round or finish runners up, says Ted. That's a very good question from Ted. Would you rather, to the live chat, would you rather get knocked out this round or go all the way to the semi-final and lose? I would rather get knocked out this round. There's absolutely no benefit to Manchester United getting to the semi-final of the Europa League and getting knocked out. We'd probably have to play, I think that would be 8 games to get knocked out. Might even be 10. There's 2 this round, then there's 2 another round, then it's the quarterfinals, then it's the semi-finals. I think it's 9 games to the final. So yeah, I'd rather get knocked out in this round. Mark, don't you think Koeman is the same sort of player when it comes to injury records and such? Very talented but tainted with bad injuries. Yeah, I mean, I've not looked at his injury record, Master Awesome, so I would agree. And the vast majority are saying just get knocked out now. Yeah, all we're going to do by playing 8 games to get knocked out in the semi-final is exhaust our squad for no reason and probably mess up top 4. So obviously Man City won last night, so it's all about top 4 now. Morning, Mark. Do you think our current formation is United's best formation for the players we have? Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that Ollie's settled with this formation. I was getting a bit frustrated with diamonds and back fives, and I think we need to stick to one formation. We haven't actually stuck to one style of play yet, so it helps if we stick to one formation because it just confuses the players less than they actually are. But I think that just looking at the match last night. Hello, Mark from Sweden. Thank you for the content, says Don Ollie. Yeah, we'll be live about 4:30 this afternoon because I don't know what time the team news comes out for Europa League. It can be an hour and a half before the kickoff, so we'll be live at 4:30. At least we get an evening afterwards. Might watch a bit of The Crown or something, but not watching Arsenal. I don't really want to watch Europa League at all. I'm only watching it because Manchester United are in it. You know, it's like watching a crap school play with your kids in it. You only watch it because your kids are in it. I'd never want to watch it normally. Respect to the kids, but you know, my kids obviously. But with this, let me just finish off on Koundé and Sancho. So I watched Koundé and Sancho last night. Sevilla lost 3-2 to Dortmund. Haaland looked really good. Bellingham looked good. Sancho looked good. But I think with Sancho, if we buy Sancho, we're going to spend a vast amount of... The thing for me with Sancho is this. And I think as Manchester United fans, we need to be a little bit deeper here. And I'm going to delve into Cavani now. There's still a couple of players I need to talk about transfer-wise. But let me just talk about Koundé and Sancho, and then we can feed into Cavani. If we buy Sancho, the evidence at Manchester United is that will be pretty much it. He will cost about £80 million. We will not have much more than £80 million as a transfer budget. So if we buy Sancho, we might let Pogba go and buy a cheaper centre-back, but that will be it. We'll get a cheap centre-back, Sancho, and Pogba will leave. Are we in a better position than now? A cheap centre-back doesn't improve us. And with Pogba leaving, what does Sancho do? Well, he plays on the wing. We need a midfielder, and we've lost Pogba. So I don't think Sancho, unless United are going to shock us and say, we've got £200 million to spend, I don't see how Sancho works for United. Fantastic player, but certainly not a priority in my mind anymore. I liked him. What I like about Sancho is his creativity. He is a player that United do need. And maybe Diallo can do this. But when you watch Sancho, you see a player whose first thought is to create. Greenwood has to learn that, but I don't want him to learn it too much because I think he's a finisher. Rashford is a finisher. Martial is a finisher, really. Their first thought is not to create. The great thing about Sancho is you can tell his first thought is if he gets the ball, he's looking to give it back, he's looking to create. And United do need a player like that. But this should have happened last summer. Now we have other priorities. On Koundé, it makes me laugh. This is the modern football fan for you, right? And I'm not talking about you, because I think the United Stand community and United fans in general are quite deep thinking about football. I'm watching Man City Everton, but I've got Sevilla Dortmund on my little iPad there. So I'm watching that and I'm watching that. I'm seeing all the goals going in the Sevilla, and I'm seeing on social media Koundé's shit. He's worse than Upamecano. We don't want him. Haaland's rinsed him. This, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh my god. This is what you're up against. This is why you need to have This is why you need United Stand in your life, really, and more importantly, the United Stand live chat. Because anybody who actually watched that game last night, Koundé, I was very impressed with him. I like his speed. I like his reading of the game. I like his strength. I like his passing out from the back. It's not like Maguire and Lindelof who lumber forward and pass it forward over the course of about 2 minutes. He will hit a pass from centre back into the number 10. Like a 40-yard pass, he'll drill it in. He will also pass and move quickly. He'll play a 1-2. It's a quick piece of play. The goals that they conceded, none of them were on him. He made no mistake on any of the goals and could not really have stopped any of them. One was a shot from outside the box, not on him. Another one was a defensive error. And the other one was the 1-2 with Haaland, which it wasn't his man to be picking up at that point. So I like Koundé. And I tell you what, I'll even add this to it. I would still pay £60 million for Koundé, and I hope Dortmund knock Sevilla out because people will forget about Koundé then. I don't care. I don't want him performing standout 0-0 for Sevilla. I'm very happy, and I still think that he is the right man to go for. And last night, actually, watching him again, I was like, he is exactly the sort of player that we need. So if these plonkers who don't understand football want to say he was shit and everything like that, good. I hope they're all Chelsea and Liverpool scouts and they all piss off and United keep their eye on the prize because I think he's good enough. I think the perfect signing for United would be someone from Benfica, says S. Bacon, which is probably a rude name. Koundé looked class. None of the goals were his fault, says Navid. And fans are so thick these days, Mark. I watched both games too. None of the goals came from his mistake. I thought he played well. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I like him. I really do like him, and I think he'd be perfect for what United need, and I think he'd complement Maguire. I mean, I'm not saying Maguire's going to turn into a new player, but I think he would help him. Swap Pogba and pay 50-60 million for Frenkie de Jong, says Fergus. And I want Ollie to stay because he's a better man manager and change his coaching staff. I doubt Ali will allow that. Thoughts? Do you think we will get Koundé, says Ronnie. I hope we're going to get Koundé. I think he's the right player for United, but this is what I wanted to talk about tonight, this morning. So, the problem with Manchester United is twofold at the moment. The main problem at Manchester United is the lack of backing of the manager. And I know I've laboured this point enough, but look at our major signing from last summer. Van der Beek doesn't get used, which means it wasn't Solskjaer's priority signing. So forget Van der Beek for a moment. Tellez wasn't his first choice left back, doesn't get used either. So that's a waste of 35 million for Van der Beek and a 50 million wasted on players that Solskjaer probably didn't say no to, but certainly weren't priority. So that's point number one. He doesn't get his priority signings. Point number two is Edinson Cavani is a bad signing. He's a good signing in the sense that he's a good player, but he's a bad signing in the sense that look at when we bought him. We bought him right at the end of the transfer window, which was desperation. And I would imagine it went something like this. Ollie, we're not getting you a winger. I've tried desperately to get you Ousmane Dembele at the end and I've messed that up. Sancho all summer, I've messed that up. You're not getting a right winger apart from this youngster from Atalanta who won't even be coming until January. But I can get you Cavani. Do you want him? Well, of course I'm going to take it over nothing. Great. We'll get him in the number 7 shirt and we'll pretend we wanted him all summer. Cavani comes into the club, right? Now, Cavani's been a very good signing in the sense that he's a very good player, but it's a desperate signing. It's not what the manager wanted. It's haphazard. It's a mess. It's the husband who's in the local 24-hour petrol station at midnight on Christmas Eve because he's forgot to get his wife a present. He might get lucky and there might be a really, really expensive bottle of perfume that they've not sold and the wife wakes up in the morning and she's like, you're the best. Yeah, I got this from Harrods 2 months ago. Or you might get a Garlo or something that's just not quite good enough. So the reality is that was a desperation signing for Cavani, and it certainly wasn't something that Solskjaer was mapping out in the summer. And that's what it's all about. When you look at Pep Guardiola, Ruben Diaz was probably planned months in advance. He comes into the team, he's got his structure ready, the team improves. Manchester United, can I just tell you with Edinson Cavani, right? As good as people think he is, and I think he is really good, Cavani has made 33 appearances. 33 appearances for Manchester United this season. Well, no, he's not actually. He could have made 33 appearances. He's missed 9 games with injury and suspension. 9 games out of 33, and 12 of them he's been off the bench. So he's actually only started a third of the possible games he could have played in since we bought him. And yet he's a rip-roaring success. But he's a rip-roaring success because of him, because of his professionalism and because of the qualities he's got. He's not a rip-roaring success as a signing. There's two very different things here. There's the signing the club make and the planning they put into it, and then there's the player themselves. We made a desperation signing with no planning and got lucky that we got a player of the quality of Cavani and professional like Cavani. But actually, because we bought him late, fitness issues, quarantine issues, and getting up to speed issues have meant that out of 33 possible starts, he's only started in 12, which is a third of the games he started in. So this is the problem at Manchester United, and you can take it back as well. Cavani's a good player. I'm not talking about Cavani here. I'm talking about the way we do transfers as a football club. Because if we'd got Cavani in the summer, I think he would have started maybe 20 out of 33 instead of 12, because he wouldn't have been unfit when he came. He wouldn't have needed time to get used to the team. He wouldn't have been in quarantine. He would have been starting games a lot sooner. Bad signing, bad planning, desperation, no Sancho, no centre-back, and a striker that Ollie can't say no to, but ultimately wasn't planning on getting. And then you look at Dortmund last night. Jadon Sancho should be wearing a Manchester United shirt this season. Erling Haaland should have been wearing a Manchester United shirt last January. Jude Bellingham should be wearing a Manchester United shirt this season. These are all known targets of Manchester United. It's not speculation signings. It's not like, oh, we think United were in for them. We wanted Haaland, we didn't get him. We wanted Bellingham, we didn't get him. We wanted Sancho, we didn't get him. And we desperately bought Cavani. And ultimately, I think Cavani's a very good player, but it's desperate. Absolutely desperate. And that feeds me into the other problem. It's not just about player recruitment, it's about coaching. Cavani, using him as an example again, Cavani averages 1.3 shots per game. As a striker for Manchester United, when he plays, he gets 1.3 shots per game. Harry Kane gets 3.7 playing for Mourinho. Now, imagine what Harry Kane would do in a Man City side. Yeah, imagine. But our striker at Manchester United gets less chances created for him than Harry Kane in Jose's universally accepted, boring Park the Bus Spurs side. 3.7 for Kane, 1.3 for Cavani. That is a damning damning indictment on Manchester United's creativity issues, which we've been talking about on this channel for a very, very long time. Martial has been a victim of poor performances for years because he doesn't get chances. And now we've brought somebody in that everyone likes in Cavani, but the problem still remains. We don't create enough chances for our number 9. Even Timo Werner, who at Chelsea, wasn't doing that well until Tuchel comes in, he's averaging over 2 shots per game. Vardy, 2.5 shots per game at Leicester, who are a counter-attacking side. Firmino, who's not really the focal point of Liverpool's attack, over 2 shots per game. Antonio, at West Ham, nearly 2.5 shots per game. Cavani, not even 1.5 shots per game. It's a huge issue at Manchester United, but it does feed back. It's not just in the coaching. It does feed back to the problem of last summer. How are you going to create chances for your striker when the only person creating them is the number 10? The width do not create for our striker. Luke Shaw started to do it and Wan-Bissaka to a certain extent, but we're not providing the width. And this is why Solskjaer desperately wanted a striker, a winger last season. We are not creating enough and we are not backing this manager enough. And until we start doing that, we've got to stop living in the pie in the sky that we're going to get Sancho, we're going to get Koundé, we're going to get Declan Rice. We need all 3. We do need all 3, but we haven't got an owner. We haven't got an ownership that's going to release the funds to buy those 3 players. We actually do need all 3. If we were Manchester City, we would get Sancho, we would get Koundé, and we would get Declan Rice because that's what a big club does. We probably won't get any of them. We might only get one. Why does Ollie give Cavani more game time than Donny? I know Martial has been poor, but our midfield hasn't been brilliant. Donny deserves more chances, says Bradley Clue. Well, Cavani's got 7 goals this season. I mean, you could say he's got 7 goals across 24 appearances, but he's actually only made 12 starts. So I'd cut Cavani a bit of leeway. I think 7 goals in 12 starts, although some of them have been from the bench. Of course, 2 of those goals came from the bench against Southampton at least. He will score more goals if you give Cavani more chances. It's as simple as that. And we're not creating enough chances for him. Would you prefer Sancho and Haaland or just Bruno? Well, I'm not giving Bruno up, Jack Brown. I'm not giving Bruno up. No. I don't really like those sort of things anyway. Would you prefer this? Would you prefer that? Would you prefer a kick in the nuts or a punch in the face? The hypothetical idiocy, really. Or would I give Bruno up for Haaland and Sancho? Well, Bruno's never going to go to Dortmund, is he? And they're never going to do that. So no. Do you like Elan St Maximin from Newcastle? Says Zed Bacon. No. Not for Manchester United. I don't think he's of the quality required. Really. I can't imagine where we would be without Bruno, says Brandon Steve. I wouldn't give Bruno up for anybody. So, no, not at all. Fofana, I don't know why people keep talking about Fofana. I mean, look, I think the vast majority of the live chat are very intelligent when it comes to football, but I think some people just are thick, to be honest with you. Like, I cannot keep telling you enough that Fofana, you may as well get a robot of Beckenbauer and pay money for that. You are not getting Fofana at Manchester United. We're Manchester United. Leicester charged us 80 million for Harry Maguire. What are they going to charge us for a decent centre-back? And the reality is, he's only been at Leicester for 6 months. Leicester don't need to sell. Leicester are a top 4 club, and they're not going to sell one of their best centre-backs when he's only been there 6 months. I know Paul Scholes said I'd go and get Fofana, but Paul Scholes is just speaking as a pundit there. He may as well be playing fantasy football. We're not going to get Fofana. It's not possible for Manchester United to get Fofana. We can't negotiate anyway with Leicester because they'll pull our pants down again, but they're not going to sell after 6 months. Maybe in 18 months, but not now. So, we need a centre-back in the next 3 months, not in the next 18 months. Players wouldn't want to... Abub says, players wouldn't want to come to us because we may not play them. Look at what happens to Van der Beek. No, I disagree with that. That's the same old argument that if Ollie got the sack, what manager would want to come to Manchester United? I can tell you now they'd be queuing up because players, like managers, have got egos. If you have succeeded in the sport of football, you back yourself and you've got a massive ego because it's a competitive sport. Whether you're a manager or a player, you will have battled so many people to get to be a Premier League footballer. So many from such a young age. You're not going to go, I'm not going to go to one of the biggest clubs in the world because it's fell on hard times and they might not pick me. You'll back yourself because you've got to back yourself. So if Solskjaer gets sacked, all the best managers in the world that are available or looking for a job will want the job. They're not going to go, you've sacked 3 managers because they'll think they can do the job. And the same with a player. They're not, if a player, I don't know, Imagine if Manchester, Jadon Sancho is not going to say, I'm not going to come for United because, look, you didn't pick Van der Beek. They're going to back themselves. Of course they are. It's logical, isn't it? You're doubting yourself there if you say, oh, I'm not coming because you didn't look at how you treated Van der Beek. You're going to look at the team and go, I am coming because I'm better than Rashford. I'm better than Greenwood. I'm going to get in the team. And I'm not saying that he is, but I'm saying that that's what players should be like. The problem is we play inverted wingers and only have one good fullback in Shaw who can overlap and cross a ball. That's why we attack down the left more, says Clark. Good point. Is Pogba leaving, says Charlotte? I would say he is at the moment, but nothing has been decided yet and won't be. Do you think Grealish is still an option? He seems like he would be very determined player like Bruno. I can't see us getting Grealish, Luke. I think Solskjaer wanted Grealish, but I think the minute we bought Van der Beek, that ship sailed. And as I said, you know, where do you draw the line? People want Sancho, they want Grealish, they want Koundé, they want Rice. That's over £200 million. You're not even going to spend half of that at United, so you're losing probably 3 of those players. Because of how we're run, because of how we negotiate, because of who owns us. If we were Manchester City, or if we had owners that actually wanted us to be the best, we would buy Grealish, we would buy Koundé, we would buy Rice, we would buy Sancho, and we would have got 1 or 2 of them last summer, so it's only 2 this summer. That's what a competent, ambitious club does. And don't bullshit me that Man United haven't got the revenues. We have got the revenue streams. The reality is Manchester United have got huge revenue streams, and it isn't off an oil tap. It's off you. Years and decades of you buying into the club, whether it be tickets, whether it be merchandising, whether it be sponsors wanting to look at your eyes. Manchester United are absolutely pumped through of money. The problem is it's locked up in debt with the clubs with the owners that bought us, and the reality is that they don't want to spend money, they want to make money. So don't ever think that United couldn't have been a club that spent like Man City and Chelsea every summer. We could have done. The problem was, as soon as the Glazers bought us, we became a club in debt, and we became a club that was about making money for them, and those revenue streams died up. So we will never be a club that walks into a transfer window and says, we've got a £200 million budget. We could have one, we have the revenue to do it, but we can't do it because of how we are owned now. We have not spent over 60 million net spend really for about 3 or 4 years now. It's always around 60, 70 million net, and that's what it will be again this year. If we're lucky, considering it's COVID, they might go down cheaper. The Glazers own the Buccaneers, who just won the Super Bowl. They pay more attention and funding to them, and Man United is ignored. It's ridiculous, says Ed Lindsay. Welcome to the Members Club, Yasha. And things Ollie needs to keep his job, change the coaching staff, stop favouritism, needs to be braver, pick Van der Beek, Diallo, make early subs. Ron it. I mean, look, there's a lot of things that can be improved within the football club. And I do think tonight's a massive game, by the way. For everybody who did watch Sevilla versus Dortmund last night, Sevilla play a really good brand of football, like a lot of Spanish clubs do. Sevilla are not that far ahead of Real Sociedad. They're 5th. I think Sevilla are 3rd, maybe 4th. Sociedad are going to be a good footballing side tonight, and we struggle against good. I can't see any other outcome tonight other than... I'm not talking about the result. I can't see any other outcome tonight other than Sociedad making us look stupid on the ball. I think they're going to pass us off the park. That doesn't mean they'll win. You know, I remember Sevilla doing it to us a couple of years ago, and they just couldn't score a goal. That might be the same problem again, but I think we're in for a bit of a footballing lesson tonight if we're not careful. We don't create enough for number 9s as we play converted strikers on the wing, so not looking to create for others. First thought is always selfish, says Jake. And there's nothing wrong with having a selfish striker, a selfish winger like a Marcus Rashford, who is, you know, that sounds really bad to call him a selfish winger. But we're talking about his football style. We're not talking about him as an individual. Marcus Rashford is very far from a selfish individual, as we know. But on a football pitch, there's nothing wrong with being selfish. It's actually an attribute. And I think Marcus Rashford off the left, cutting in and being selfish is fine. As long as on the right, you've got a born creator. Because then you've got balance. I think at the moment, we haven't got any balance in our width. And this is why our strikers do struggle. Just quickly, I would have forgotten to say it. Gazzetta dello Sport talking about Milenkovic at Fiorentina being a target for Manchester United. He's got a year left on his contract. They reckon he won't sign a contract. So he's another player that's available in the summer. He's decent, you know, he is a decent player. I'm not convinced that him and Maguire would make a good pairing because both pretty tall. Milenkovic isn't slow, but I don't think he's rapid. I just don't think they complement each other that well as a centre-back pairing. But there is an opportunity there with Milenkovic at Fiorentina. But I feel this is a legacy of Mourinho. I think we sometimes get linked to players that Mourinho was looking at, and I think Milenkovic is a player that Mourinho was looking at, not Ollie. So we, there are centre backs out there. But for me, I think Koundé looks like he's the best. I don't think we're going to get Koundé right, by the way, but I think he looks the best. Welcome to the United Stand Members Club, Ashton Wilton, and take one player from Arsenal, Chelsea, and City. Says the Arsenal answer. No. That's football comment. This is the United Stand morning show, and I don't really want to talk about hypotheticals. I mean, look, I'm not taking anyone from Arsenal, and I'm not taking anyone from Chelsea. But the reality is, it takes me too long to think that through. And the reality is, Man United need a CDM, a centre back. They're the two priority positions. So, would I take a centre back from Arsenal? No. Would I take a centre back from Chelsea? Probably not. Would I take a centre-back from Man City? There's two I'd definitely take in Diaz and Laporte. Midfielders, Partey's not really set the world on fire yet, as much as I like him. Chelsea, I think Kovacic could do a very good job at United. Manchester City, I think Rodri would revolutionise Manchester United. I actually think Jorginho would make Manchester United better as well. I don't think he's brilliant, but I think what I like about Rodri is he is a player that shields the back four and then can play the ball forward. It reminds me of Michael Carrick. So Man United haven't got that sort of player. I wouldn't take Kante, Dara. No, I don't think Kante is the player United need. I don't think he's anywhere near what he was. I think he's living off reputation. He doesn't even start for Chelsea as much now, and he's on the decline. So I wouldn't go anywhere near Kante. Plus, Kante is not the player who's going to take the ball off the back four and feed your strikers and attackers quick. Rodri would do that. I think Jorginho can do that. I wouldn't really take Jorginho, but Man United need a shielder who can pass the ball, and we haven't got that, and it's killing us. It's absolutely killing us. Højbjerg's a good player, but he doesn't play for Chelsea, Arsenal, or Man City, Dylan. But he is a good player. And Partey's a flop because of the injuries. Yeah, he's never really got going, has he? To be honest with you. So yeah, Man United need Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo, and Mbappe to be great again. We'd be still shit, mate. You could have that front four, and we'd still be shit. Because how are they going to get the ball? Imagine playing Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo, and whoever else you said, Mbappe, as a front four. One of them would have to go on the bench anyway because it wouldn't work. But then you've got McFred and Maguire and Lindelof. How are they going to get the ball? They're going to be stood up front, pissed off. You know, you've got to build a football team. You've got to build a football team. You have to build a football team. We haven't built a football team yet. We've got holes. We've got a lack of creativity from the width. We've got a lack of creativity from centre defensive midfield, and we've got a lack of defensive ability in the centre backs. These are three key areas. I mean, you know what? The funny thing is, if Pep Guardiola came to Manchester United, I'd love to see this happen actually. Pep or Klopp come to United, give them, they have to be given some money. I'd love to see what they would do, because I guarantee the first things Pep would do is he'd sort that defence and centre midfielder out, because he knows as a footballing man, and nothing up front matters if he can't get the ball from back to front effectively. And that would be the area that Pep would look at instantaneously. Pep would never take the United job, but you could imagine Woodward going, "I'm going to get you Sancho, Pep. Piss off." What do you mean? No. Forget Sancho for now. Nothing to do with him being at Man City and leaving. I want a centre-back and I want a CDM, and they need to be this sort of a player. Well, that's not very glamorous. Well, this is how we're going to do it, because this is what we need to build a team. You can buy your glamorous player in a couple of years. I'm building a football team to win here. We're not the bloody, forget this Galactico shit. Sort out the team. Centre-back is a huge issue, and creativity from the midfield, balance from back to front is a missing in this side. But it's all speculation at the end of the day, isn't it? Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe, bottom right hand corner. We're going to be live at about 4:30 this afternoon. Depressing, isn't it? For a watch along on a Thursday, we're going to be live at 4:30 for a 5 to 6 kickoff in the Europa League. But I think it will be I do think it's going to be a good game. I think it will be a good game. And I think, the best thing about this, the reason I'm excited about this game is because you get exposed if you're not good enough. Sociedad are a good footballing side and they're well organised. And I think they're going to give us a good game. And if we can get a good result against them, it gives us confidence. I don't want us to win 2-0 tonight and people go, well, it's only Sociedad. If we win 2-0 tonight, I'm over the bloody moon. Because they're a good side. I think they're going to give us a footballing lesson in relation to how to use the ball. Not necessarily in result. I don't know how they are at scoring goals. But I think how they use the ball, technically, coaching, etc., patterns of play, I think it's going to be a really exciting game to watch. So join me for that one later. I'll speak to you in a bit, and we will speak to you all soon. 8 o'clock show, says Graham Farrell. Well, if you do the maths, Graham, the game's going to finish at about 8:45, and then I do a match reaction. So why would there be an 8 o'clock show? And then there's a fan forum after that. Use your brain, Graham. Come on. I know it's early. Sip a coffee. Have a think. Take care, everyone. Smash the like. I'll speak to you